What we're going to cover in today's video is the flag work. I've got Dulcinea here. She's a 10-year-old quarter horse, and we've had her for a week or two here, and she's really bothered by things approaching her. And I've actually, this will be the third day of working with her with the flag or the bag here, and I wasn't able to do the first couple times. That would have been a great thing for you to see. But I'll just go over it. She's still bothered with it. Yesterday she was better, and so I'll be curious to see where she's at today. But I just want to go over how you would start off with it, because the bag and the flag is something that you don't just want to go in and say, hey, get over it. It's something you build up to, because you can see just me kind of moving it around, she's got a little worried there. So even before the flag is make sure you can come out here with your stick and string and get them comfortable with that they're okay with that. And then once that's good, then you can introduce the flag. And I don't necessarily do the flag on every horse. It's not that you can't. But horses that are really just not, that have an issue, that are getting bothered, then I tend to use the flag more. Like with her, it's when things come into her space, when she gets worried and she actually will go bronking off. And so I haven't gotten on her yet, just because I want to get that issue taken care of before I even get on, because otherwise she'll go along fine, and then something's gonna spook her, and when she spooks, she'll go right into bronking. And so the flag work really helps with that. And the first thing we're gonna do is just take your flag and just kind of walk off out and about. So you're going away from her, and I'm just gonna kind of play with the bag and see where she's at. And with the bag, you're going to take your bag, when you put it on, and then a grocery bag works well, you know, the cloth ones work good too, but just open the bottom of your bag up when you put it on there, so it doesn't, when you're waving it around, it's not a balloon, you know, it'll turn into a big balloon, and you want it to kind of flatten out. And sometimes this is even too big, so what you can do is just wrap it around your stick a few times. So there, now it's smaller, and if I wanted to even make it smaller, I could. So sometimes I'll just start off with that there and get to where they're okay with that. And then she's gotten to where she's okay with it a little bit bigger. So we'll play with it there. If I need to, I'll make it smaller. But that's a way to progress it, so you're not just starting off with a big, huge, scary thing right off if your horse is really bothered by it. So I'm just going to walk off. I'm going to play with the bag, get to where I can start flapping it, making some noise with it, and seeing what does she think of it. And she's pretty okay with that. So now I'm going to just start bringing it into her space a little bit and out of her space. And you can see there she kind of gets a little worried. And so I'm just entering in, where's her bubble, and then taking it away. Entering in, and that time she was a little bit, I could get a little bit closer to her, and taking it away. So my goal is for her to kind of reach out and smell it, check it out herself. And so that's pretty good, getting a little bit better. And then another way of doing it is just kind of laying it on the rope, bringing it in and out, up and down the lead rope. And so there she's kind of popping it up and down when she pulls back. So actually I am going to make the bag a little bit smaller here. So I'm just going to tie it up one time to make it half the size. And it's not going to flap around so much, but it's just coming in and out of her space. And just from the experience of working with her, where she's most challenged is coming up around her front legs. And so I'm just going in and out of her space here, helping her there. And there she kind of softened to relax, so I'm going to take it away because she was a little bit concerned. And so I take it away, and then I'm going to come back in again. You know, down here, up and around her front legs, she's real worried about that. So I just kind of come in and out of that space. I'm not just going to go right in and say, hey, take it and deal with it, as I'm going to help her. Yeah, and so that's nice. So there she softened. So again, I just kind of take it away, reward her with that, and then come back in and play with it again. So I'm showing you several different options of taking it in and out this way, going back and forth this way. I can lay it on my rope here and in and out this way. You have to decide what's helping your horse the best, which way is going to help, and you might be changing it up throughout the time you're working with them. So they might get okay with one, and then you kind of work towards the other. So this is nice. So now I'm just going to offer, does she want to smell it? So I'm just waiting on her. She's not really interested in smelling, but she's not pulling it away. So that's good. So then I'm just going to take it away and then bring it back in. Yeah. And every horse is different too. Some horses, they're just like, no, or they'll just momentarily sniff it and then they're kind of done with it. And they don't really want or need any more sniffing. Others will be like really curious. To help make them more curious is you can take the bag and actually rub it in a little bit of poop and then come up, and then that'll help them to go, hey, I smell somebody else on there, because you're using their natural instinct. How many times are you working your horse and there's a poop pile and they're like, oh, I gotta go smell that. So you're using that to help them to get over the bag, because they start smelling a horse scent on there and go, well, hey, if I smell this on there, it must not be as bad as it looks or sounds. Yeah. So just coming in and out. And now I'm going to see if she's going to kind of start letting me bring it up towards her wither area. I'm not going to go into the shoulder, and if I can, I'd really like to kind of take it from her nose up the side of her face and down her neck, but that might be too much. So then I'm going to come in from a little bit to the side here, and you may even step off to the side, because be careful. The front feet, like with her, she actually did strike out a bit yesterday. If you come in too much right in the front here, they'll strike out with their front feet, and they can do that really quickly. So you want to make sure you're off to the side, or you're not in any spot where you can get hit if they were to do that. So I'm going from her smelling it, and now I'm going to work up towards the wither. Can I get up towards the wither. And so there I'm just kind of coming in and out of that space. Yeah, until I can make contact, and that's nice. And then once I do, then I'm just going to rub and make it a good thing. And oftentimes, if you've done enough preparation with your stick and string, with your hand, where they're comfortable in that space, and she's totally fine with humans being around her, so she's not like a wild horse. And if you've prepared them enough, then when you come in with the bag, they're like, oh, okay, this is, I know what this is. See, this is nice, and then I'm just going to slowly start taking it up and down her body more. You can even rub the saddle. And different horses, some horses it's more a visual thing. Other horses it may be more of the sound, and some horses it's both of them, the sound and the visual. They're really worried about. With her, it's more of a visual thing. She doesn't really care about the sound of it, but she does care about the visual. Now, another thing to really be careful about, I've got the bag, it's only half open, and it's not windy today, but if it was windy, you really want to make sure that the bag doesn't flip over to the other side. And I'll just show you, see how when it pops over there, she got worried. And sometimes the bag will flop over on the other side, or you push it over, the bag over their neck, and they see it in the other eye, they're going to jump right towards you and possibly on you. So really be careful about that, taking it over their neck. And then the other thing is taking it under the neck, the point of the shoulder here, and taking it under and across. That's really an area that they get worried, because if a predator were to go to attack them, they're going to usually bite their neck, the underside of their neck. So they're really protective of that. And so I have to build her trust to say, hey, this is okay. So I'm just slowly working down there. And you can see she's not sure about it. She's allowing it, but she's not real sure. And I just slowly make my way, and then she's going to see it in the other eye. Actually not too bad there. Good. So then I change it from she sees it in one eye to the other eye, where yesterday this was a really big deal. But she's giving enough for you to see that it's still there. She's still worried about it. So I am going to just kind of take the bag over to the other side and back. But I'm really aware of what she might do. Good. And there she kind of got real worried, so then I'm just going to leave it on this side and get her comfortable with it. And I might move it up and down. And I'm also looking at, okay, what area of her body is she worried about? She's not worried about the hind end, but she is around the neck and the underside, her front end and her neck area. Where the next horse you do this on, they're not really going to care about it there so much as it may be more of a hind end issue. Typically, yes, it is the front end, but you just never know. It just varies depending on the horse, what the issue is. Some horses it's everywhere. They're just really bothered with it. So I'm just trying to figure out, okay, where does she need the help the most? Yeah, and I'm making it a good thing. That's pretty nice there. So I'm just gonna change hands up and see if I can bring it around to the other eye. And she was like, no, I don't think so. So now I have to play with it from this side kind of in and out, and that didn't take long. So that was pretty nice. So she came, she allowed it. I'll just turn her around here so you can see what I'm doing. And then I'm just gonna start rubbing her all over on the neck on this side. So I kind of go into the area she can't handle and then back out of it. So I keep progressing how much she can handle, how far she can handle it. So as I go up the neck, she gets worried. And I come back down to where she can handle it. She is okay. And another thing to really be aware of is have a feel on the horse's head. Don't have a lot of slack, particularly when you go to the hind end, because the horse can spin and kick really quick. And it's not at you necessarily, but it could be at the bag, trying to get rid of the bag, and it ends up being you. But if you have a feel on the horse's nose, as soon as they start to tip into you or bring their hind end to you, you can just pull their nose back and get the hind end to go away from you. So really be aware of that. Don't give too much slack on that lead rope when you're working with this. So here she's a little worried about me coming down into her flank, but not too bad. She accepted that pretty quickly. So I'm going to come back to the head and neck again. Yeah. And that time, as she got worried, I didn't just pull the bag away. I kept the bag there until she quit moving her feet. So remember, the reward is in the release. So when I quit doing what I'm doing, so I want her to relax, so I'm going to quit or soften when she softens. So this is getting better. There, and again. So I didn't pull the bag away. There, now she's softened, so then I'm going to say, oh, thank you very much. And I don't have to pull it away every time, even when she quits, is I might just soften myself and just hold it there for a moment and relax and say, oh, thank you. Yeah. Nice. Nice lengthening of the neck. She dropped her head, lick and chew, release. And I'm just like, oh, thank you. Really give that to her, help her. When she wants to let go and soften and relax, I'm going to give that to her. Because that's showing me she's really trying. She just kind of let go there. Yeah, that's doing pretty good. Up a little bit there. Everything's a progression. As she gets comfortable with a spot, then I'm going to start moving into another spot. There, and I was able to come into the shoulder a lot quicker, start coming up the neck, towards the jaw there a little bit, so she got a little worried. And I'll just turn her here where you can see. So now I have to kind of go back again. She got worried with that. So in and out of that space of what she can handle. So you see how she kind of came up with the front legs. She's like, don't get into that space there. And I'm not just going to go in and say, hey, you get over it. You handle it. I'm going to go back to where she can handle and bring it in and out of there and say, hey, it's okay. It's not going to eat you. And so up around her face there is I'm going to make the bag even a little bit smaller. And that should help her because it's not flapping around then. And here now it could be a little bit of the noise factor too, because we're up getting closer to the ears, so she hears the bag some. And I'm going to take my stick as I'm rubbing her neck, as I'm just going to rub her jaw too, so she feels it, and then I can slowly just bring the bag towards her jaw. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then she gets worried for a little bit. Nice release. Give that to her. And come back in and start rubbing her again. Make this an enjoyable thing for her. And come back in. And so she just kind of tightens everything up in her whole body, and she's just like, ah, can't handle it. And we want her to get back to this relaxed place and slowly bringing it up closer and closer. So just keep going back in and out of that space. You know, it's really up around the neck, into the jaw area. Where she gets real concerned with that. And so, how can I help her to get okay with it? So here I'm standing at a different angle, so I'm coming up more towards the top of her head. And maybe I don't go as far. So I'm making just really, I'll turn her here where you can see real small little strokes. There you go. Ah, that's nice there. So nice change, so then I'm just going to take it away because she allowed it. Come on in the other side here. And then I'll turn her again. And just do some small stroking, trying not to, you know, do big movements. Yeah, so part of it is I think she hears the bag rubbing on the halter. And so that's a little bit of a worrisome sound to her. So I'm just kind of making it real soft and easy. Good. She's not reacting nearly as strong. Yeah. Just kind of hang in there, because what I'd really like to see her do is just kind of soften her neck and relax down a little bit. And she's thinking about it. She's just not quite yet able to let go. Yeah. And you can see too how it doesn't take it. It's just a slight thing can trigger it. So just a slight change was enough to kind of pop her bubble. There we go. So she kind of gave a lick and chew. There's a whole softening in her body. She hasn't yet put her head down, but she's actually starting to blink a little bit. She's losing that worried look in her eye. Yeah, and so I'm just gonna give that to her for a moment because there was a change. So I just stayed there until she got a change, and see how much releasing she's giving now. And I give that to her. So when your horse is in this processing mode, and this is really nice because she's coming up kind of like, almost like thank you. And again, I'm just giving her a few moments because she's still processing all of that. She's licking and chewing, she's blinking, she's kind of going inward with it. There you go. That's what I'm looking for. Thank you. Good. And so now I'll just go back and see if we can get it again, see if she's okay with it. Nice. What's really nice is she's almost kind of leaning into me a little bit, like, oh, that feels good. And so I'm just going to come down her jaw just a tiny bit more here now. And she's like, no, that's too much. And so I just go back up to the neck where she can handle it. There. Again, she's kind of just almost leaning into that, going, oh, thank you. And your horse dictates how much time it's going to take. Some horses, they might get to this pretty quickly. So there she gets real worried, so I'm just going to flag back and forth with the flag until she quits moving. So if she's going to really get bothered, then I'm going to get bigger with my movement. And with her is, particularly in the head and neck, she gives me an inch or two and then gets a good release, change, and then you try for another inch or two and we have to go through the whole process again. Where other horses, you might get it in one area and they're like, oh, okay, I've got this. And you start moving on to other areas and they don't really care, or they'll catch on to it really quickly. With her, we have to prove to her over and over again that no, it's not going to eat you, it's going to be okay. You don't have to get defensive over it, that sort of thing. So just Keep helping her. There you go. Just waiting on her. Nice. Not yet let go, but she's thinking about it. Just keep kind of going back and forth to that point of where can she handle it. Where's the line where she gets worried or bothered? And it's kind of the halter line there. So not too bad. Leaving it, coming back in. Yeah, nice. And then I'll go back to the other side. Keep proving to her it's okay. Yeah. So her jaw area, her head area is still an issue, but we've made some changes from yesterday.